Friends, as we start year 2, 2026, the era of institution led banking is rapidly making way for intelligence led banking. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are no longer just technical projects owned by the IT department. Whether it's moving from reactive to predictive credit monitoring, using ML to detect fraud in milliseconds, or hyper personalizing customer service to drive growth, AI is the new architect of our industry. Shri Sunil Soni brings a rare blend of deep banking experience and technological mastery. As the former CIO and CISO of Punjab National Bank, he has been at the forefront of some of the largest digital transformations and neo-banking initiatives in the banking industry.
So I would like to start, the kind of discussion. What exactly is a strategic decision, and what is the strategic advantage, and they're required with regard to the to adopt and adapt to the strategy of the organization, and also see that it is managed and maintained for a long time. So what is necessary is that your decision that you have taken, that decision should be carefully understood. So it goes to say that the decisions that you have taken may not really be easy for others to replicate, because that is where your lead time is, and that is where your advantage. And they would also like to bring about some change which changes the market as well. But your decision making would be such that it may be very difficult for the competitors to kind of replicate to that kind of or that level of outside the overall your the decisions that you generally would take in an organization should not be outside the ambit of the vision and the mission. And in many audits, in the performance audits also, it is being seen in case if you are trying to, these are the strategic decisions. Because in case if you take a short-term decision, say about 6 months, 1 year, that may not really be resulting into a strategic shift, but that may be an operational necessity for which you would have taken a decision. So to take while doing this, you are also expected to essentially see that your internal capabilities are well understood and well exploited. That is being uh, created or given by the leadership after understanding what is the current status of the organization and where exactly you're expected to go. So that delta will make this decision whether you are expected to enter or whether you would like to exit an already entered market because it is not making sense for the organization. Similarly, looking at the merger and acquisitions, M&As are important part of the business, and you are expected to look into all these elements before you eventually go for this. Or shifting business models. Its manpower, its task force is able to build about a particular kind of a solution by looking into or by deploying the artificial intelligence capabilities. So the question here is whether should I make my team to do that? It may take time. It also looks into deciding how aggressively you can deploy the agentic AIs. So far we've been talking with regard to artificial intelligence. Now here is another term which says that the artificial intelligence also gets kind of structured and automated to an extent, and they will also become responsible for the decisions that are being undertaken. So we'll discuss on what sort of decisions would require this sort of a kind of bent. You are expected as an organization, you are expected to prioritize between experience transformation and also the intelligence and operational autonomy. So there has to be a fundamental balance between the change that you are expected to or that you're trying to bring. The leaders who are taking calls and decisions in uh, uh, the situation where a lot of ambiguity was there, but today that ambiguity is not there to that great an extent. However, there are still some situations where ambiguity will still subsist because they are kind of untested, uncharted waters, which have been where the organization has thought to put themselves in. However, in most of the cases today, leaders have a lot of insight information. That is where most of the organizations today are deploying the artificial intelligence. and they are trying to see that they are in a position to bring about a measurable change, because most of the industries, most of the nations are today taking advantage of predictive analytics. Now, while I look at predictive, it would mean that the analysis which is being done on the existing information that organizations are today automating the drudgery or the kind of jobs which were being handled manually. That is where the automation, and that is where the challenges of humans are overcome by automating the processes, the decisions which were the background in which the decisions were being taken earlier by the management. In case if I bring about a technology, and technology has been tested in the environment which is relevant to for example US, right? So the Chinese government is today rapidly scaling, and I'm sure most of you would have read the way the competition is hotting up between US and China with regard to introduction of AI and ML in comparison to US, and the amount which is being spent, which has been spent by US to build up that capability, and the kind of amount which is being spent by China to reach up to that stage is kind of 1/100th.